G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoy today's episode. Now sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user ExpensivePage8666, titled, "Would I be the asshole for telling my sister I won't attend her wedding because I hate her fiancé?" The characters in this story are older sister Brooke, 32 female, Fiancee Mark, 32 male, me, no nickname necessary, 25 female, and younger sister Jenny, 22 female. My sister, we'll call her Brooke, has been together with Mark since freshman year of high school. As far as I understand it, they did not want to get married initially because Brooke is vehemently child-free, and Mark agrees with her. But they've decided to hold a wedding/commitment ceremony next spring after a lot of years of back and forth. The problem is, I've known Mark since I was a kid. He started coming around to the house a lot when he and Brooke were sophomores in high school, so I was 8 or so when I first met him as Brooke's boyfriend, and I've basically hated him the whole time. I've tried to be polite, particularly now that we're all adults, but I just don't want to go to the wedding of my sister and the guy that she's always put before her family. As an example, when Brooke and Mark started dating, Brooke went from eating dinner at home with the rest of us every night to going out 2 or 3 times a week with Mark and his friends. This was against our parents' rules and caused a lot of arguments that negatively impacted both me and our younger sister Jenny, who was barely in kindergarten at the time and didn't understand what was going on. Brooke and our parents started fighting basically every night, and it was incredibly disruptive to our home life. My sister went from being my best friend to a stranger, and Mark was the one encouraging it. The stress of those years was so bad that I had to repeat 4th grade, failed math, and I was bullied really badly for that. I stopped going to school looking nice because there was so much tension in the home that no one was paying attention to whether or not I had clean clothes. Jenny also struggled academically and socially, but I was able to step in and help her more with things like getting dressed and packing her lunch, so she doesn't remember those years as negatively as I do. Of course, as soon as Brooke and Mark graduated, he convinced her to move across the country to go to college. Our parents were really hurt by this, and there were a few years where she didn't come home over Christmas or summers. Eventually, things cooled down when I was in high school, and Brooke started making more contact with our family, but Mark would do things like glare at our parents over the dinner table and suddenly declare that it was time for them to go. I don't think that I should have to go to the wedding of my sister and this guy that stole her from us, and I'm planning on RSVP'ing no when the time comes. Our family has been minimally involved in the wedding planning, and I am not in the bridal party or anything like that. They are all friends of Brooke and Mark's from the hospital where they work. Would I be the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I might be the asshole if I do this because Brooke is my sister and she's been together with Mark a long time. Brooke may want my support at the wedding. In the comments, Puzzleheaded SR says, "I think you're being childish and petty over stupid shit. I think it's insane that one of your examples is she wasn't eating at home as often. Frankly, you're blaming your sister for shit that you aren't entitled to. You failed math. No one else made you do that. Your parents sound just as immature. Why aren't you blaming them for creating a toxic home life? Why aren't you mad at them that you had to take care of your younger sister? She's their child. The way you talk, it's like you feel ownership over her instead of being an individual. It's weird. It's like, grow up and get over it. Jesus, you're the asshole." Honestly, I read the whole thing twice to find where Mark actually did anything bad to OP, and I still haven't found it. After reading, OP's parents sound like tools, making a mountain out of a molehill. It's no wonder Brooke ran for it when the opportunity came for her to move out. He helped his girlfriend achieve a much-needed sense of freedom, and he's the bad guy? Wild! And establish boundaries, it sounds like. Info. None of the problems you described were Mark's fault. Brooke started having the usually teen feelings of wanting to be more independent and getting invested in her relationships, and that conflicted with your parents' rules. That's not on Mark. You have not described any single action or statement that makes it clear whether Mark is controlling or just objects to your parents trying to control their now adult daughter. So why is your issue specifically with Mark? Or is he just the easy scapegoat for your family not being as comfortable and conflict-free as when you were a child? Quote, the stress of those years was so bad that I had to repeat 4th grade. Yada yada yada. These are all things that are your parents' fault, not Mark's fault. Your parents were neglectful. Mark may simply have been invested in getting Brooke away from a bad family situation. I wanted to make sure that I didn't misunderstand all of that either. I did get parents of the arsehole vibes and twisted the poor 8-year-old girl's perception of her sister for some twisted reason, probably religion-related. It's giving me a highly religious, dysfunctional family vibe, with OP blaming Mark because she doesn't want to blame Brooke, and because she's still so caught up in the family and religion that she can't acknowledge the problem was actually the parents' fault. Let's not forget that when Brooke started pulling away, OP stepped in and started taking care of her younger sister, even while she herself was spiraling academically. So if she admits that it was her parents' fault for parentifying Brooke, then she has to consider why she then had to step up and do the same for Jenny. And if she's upset at Brooke for going off to college, then she would probably feel guilty for going to college herself and neglecting Jenny. So it's much easier to blame all of it on Mark. Yeah, this is a hard one. It honestly does just seem like a case of parentification and terrible parents that wanted to control their daughter while also not raising or doing right by their daughters at all. You want your cake, but you want to neglect it too? What's going on with these mental gymnastics? Give them cake, and let that cake rot, goddammit. My judgment has to be now that you would be the asshole if you didn't go to the wedding, you sent a no on the RSVP, because you've drunk the Kool-Aid of your family, and you're a victim of your family, OP, and I just feel sorry for you. I hope that you can break this vicious cycle that you are caught up in. Back up to the post, we have an edit. I'm getting a lot of feedback that Brooke was potentially parentified. If anyone has any recommendations for podcasts or books about that, I would appreciate it. I think I need to learn more about her experiences before I decide about the wedding, since we did used to be close, and it would be unfortunate to lose the relationship entirely, which is what some commenters think will happen if I skip the wedding. Thank you. Edit 2. Please stop attacking my parents. They have their faults, but they did not have many resources when we were young. It's important to me to support them now that they're older and can't work, but I also want to support Brooke and understand better now that I've not been handling this in a mature way. I will be apologizing to her and asking her for more perspectives on things from our childhood. I'm going to stop reading now, but I appreciate your help. Thank you. And now onto the update, titled, How do I apologize to my older sister for how parentified she was by our parents? So my sister left home after high school, and for a long time I blamed her and her boyfriend, now fiancé, for that. I want to learn more about parentification and her experiences growing up because I'm starting to understand that our parents were not fair to her and put a lot of unreasonable caregiving responsibilities on her. She did most of the cooking, laundry, and helping me and my younger sister with schoolwork while my parents were busy working long shifts at their jobs. But I do not want to trigger her, and I think this period of her life was probably very difficult. How do I start this conversation with her? What questions should I ask? If there's a good opportunity to apologize, what should I say? Thank you for your help. In the comments, One Chip Wonder says, I saw your Am I the Asshole post, and I'm glad that you come to this conclusion. I have younger siblings too. I'm the eldest, and if they come to me wanting to have a conversation, I would be open to that. However, you were correct to assume that you need to be careful in approaching this to her. I do not know about your sister, but if I was in her position, I would be more open if you start it with an apology, not for your parents, but for your treatment towards her and your future brother-in-law. Tell her that you understand that this might open up old wounds, but if she's willing to talk, you would be happy to be there for her. Keep the door open, but leave the decision to start a conversation on her when she is ready. I hope you have a better relationship with your sister in the future, and I hope it is not too late. I hope it means that you can also be happy for her on her wedding. Focus on your actions and apologize for those. Do not try to apologize for your parents, and do not try to defend them in any way. It really doesn't matter to your sister why they did what they did, just that it happened to her. And those are conversations they have to have with her. OP replies, "It's unlikely that my parents will have those conversations with her, but I can try and encourage them to do so once she and I talk about our side of things. I meant more that that's on them, not on you. If they don't want to, and sis doesn't want to get into it with them, then it's their relationship. Again, focus on you and sis." Spiderweb Whisperer says, "I understand you are still staying with and caring for your parents, but frankly the biggest thing in my experience is that you have to stop defending your parents. They parentified your sister and let you and your sister suffer when your older sister finally escaped and demonized her and her fiancé to you. To mend these bridges with your sister, you not only have to stop blaming your sister and her fiancé for your parents' abuse, but you also need to be able to acknowledge that these situations that you all faced were entirely the fault of your neglectful parents. As long as you refuse to acknowledge your parents' fault, you won't be able to rebuild your relationship with your sister." And OP replies, "That's a good, if difficult, perspective to hear. Thank you. I don't necessarily agree with the comments calling my parents abusive, but I can admit that they were sometimes neglectful due to poverty when I was younger. I hope that will be a reasonable enough compromise for now when I talk to my sister." Not me wanting to smash my head into the wall reading that comment. Oh my god. Paprika Stew replies to that, "It is a very hard thing to accept that your parents have let you down. I have one parent that I've always had a difficult relationship with, so it was pretty obvious from a young age that she wasn't a safe person to me. I got along great with my other parent. Except, years later, through therapy and introspection, I realized that some of the things they did were messed up. When I severely sprained my ankle, the kind of sprain that requires months of therapy, they told me I shouldn't have been jumping around and hid my injury overnight from my other parent, hoping it would heal on its own, because they didn't want my other parent to throw a fit. They failed to protect me dozens of times, in the name of not rocking the boat. I just thought that it was normal at the time. I still love my parent very much, and I have dealt with my resentment for the most part. You can still love your parents and admit that they failed you. And it's not normal that you regularly didn't have clothes after your sister left. It means that your sister was doing everything, and your parents couldn't take care of your basic needs. That's not okay, and you're allowed to recognize that it's not okay." Back up to the post, we have an edit/update. "I decided to talk to my younger sister first, so I texted her this morning and asked if she could call me to talk about our older parents. She did, and I started off by asking her what she thought about our parents generally, and how they handled the Brooke and Mark situation more generally. I'll use the nicknames from the other posts, but obviously these aren't their real names. We had a good conversation, the details of which I won't share, but the general tone was that yes, my younger sister thinks our parents put way too much responsibility on me and Brooke for raising her, and that she plans to keep firm boundaries with them as she finishes school and starts working. I asked her about the money she sends home and told her that if it was a financial burden on her, that she should just stop. But she said she never sends more than she can afford and that she wants to do it since she does not want to come home and do the caregiving tasks that I'm doing for them. She also asked me about my plans for the future, and I told her that I don't know, but that I eventually want to have the nursing assistant credential and work more hours outside of the home. Apparently, she and Brooke have also had some conversations about our parents' finances, and they have a pact that when they die, which hopefully won't be for a long time, that I can inherit the house solo, even if they are given shares of it in the will, which I appreciate a lot. I now feel more comfortable with what I will want to say and ask Brooke, and I think it was a good idea to talk to Jenny first. Jenny told me that Brooke isn't mad at me and will like to hear from me, which is a big relief. And now, onto the final update. I really appreciate everyone who commented on both posts. Thank you for your feedback and help deconstructing the situation. I talked to Brooke Tuesday night after my parents went to bed, and it was really beneficial for the both of us, I think. I apologized profusely for how bitter I've been over things that happened when we were younger, and for how I've treated Mark when he's been such a strong support for her all these years. Brooke accepted the apology for herself and on Mark's behalf, and also offered to give me Mark's cell number so that we could start to build up more of our own relationship. Brooke also shed some light on more context for those rough teenage years. Like some of you predicted, she did really find solace in Mark from all of the pressure at home, and in particular, the pressure to go to church, dress and act in the way that the church demands, and pretend to believe in things that she disagrees with. She and my parents would argue over new beliefs that she formed from conversations with Mark, some including some science-denying opinions that I was surprised to hear my parents used to believe. At this point, they are much stronger believers in secular medicine, probably due to increased medical issues that they've needed to treat, but apparently when Brooke was growing up, they only supported homeopathy and natural medicines. She also found it interesting to hear some of my perspectives on how our parents have changed as they've gotten older. Since I am their primary caregiver, I have spent more time with them than either Brooke or Jenny, and I've witnessed a lot of positive changes in them over the years. She was also interested in my plans for the future beyond our parents, and was touched that I wanted to try and pursue nursing like her eventually. I'm going to try and learn more about personal finance, and Brooke is willing to help me by sharing her journey there, and I'm hoping that this will help me save up more of a nest egg for the future. In terms of therapy, I do like my current therapist, who is a licensed social worker, since he has some really useful recommendations for how to take care of my parents while taking care of myself and avoiding burnout without being creepy about trying to get me to date in our small town. I will also check out text therapy though, since that might be a nice option to give me more contact with the world outside of our very small country community, and this whole exercise has really illuminated the benefits and the cons, but the benefits outweigh them, of getting an outside perspective on some problems. I think Brooke and I will have a much better relationship moving forward, and I also think going through this process has helped clarify some priorities for me, and that's incredibly valuable. Thank you for all of your help. In the comments, Pata Con Queso says, "No wonder Brooke is child-free. Nothing like raising your own siblings and/or nibblings when you yourself are a child to make one either firmly pro-having children or dead-ass firmly child-free." Yup, 10,000%. My brother is 13 years younger than me. I was made his de facto babysitter for my entire high school years. I got puked on, shat on, and peed on so many times that I decided that's enough parenting for me to last a lifetime. No babies for me, thank you. As a parent of adult children, on top of all of the rest of the story, I am giving some serious side-eye to the parents being older and no longer able to work. They don't sound much older than I am if they're having kids at ages typical for evangelicals. I'm willing to bet they're using that as an excuse for keeping OP trapped and taking care of them financially. She implies that they got sick, so either they got some debilitating stuff, or decided to close in and snatch the designated caregiver before she went away to college. My money's on the latter. My best friend's parents tried that on her, but miraculously, when she refused to support them anymore, they were healthy enough to work for another 20 years. Considering the rest of the story, I'm like 99% certain her parents could support themselves fine if they wanted to, but they don't want to. They want their daughter to become their 24/7 live-in nurse, cleaner, financial provider, and cook, so they won't ever have to lift a finger. Also, she said their parents were young when they raised them. Now they're both disabled at the same time at a youngish age? Common story. What likely happened is they clonked their heads together really hard. Another certified banger. My money's on that one. They clonked their heads really hard to get disabled together at a young age. This is Dumb and Dumber 2, Jesus Boogaloo of the evangelical community. I honestly don't know what to make of the ending of this story because that middle update, OP is still defending the parents so hard and doesn't realize how trapped they are. I'm not getting the vibes from this final update that OP realizes how frickin' trapped they are. Oh my god. Hopefully they read these comments and realize the parents are faking it. They have to be faking it. On the balance of probabilities, surely they're faking this. Please God, OP, run. Run, do not walk. Run from these people and live your own life. You can wait out them dying and getting the house if you want, but more than likely, they're going to take that house and sell it to pay for proper nursing care, which you cannot provide, and you will be out on your ass without any career or money behind you. Please, OP, listen to these people and get out of there. Anyway, I've said too much. Let's go to the next story. Our next post is by user Botanical Pirate, titled, Am I the arsehole for not serving meat at my wedding? So my fiancé, 26 female, and I, 26 female, are currently planning our wedding, and despite us being on a low budget, we somehow are managing to make this wedding work out smoothly. After searching for affordable catering, we found a catering company that would not only give us the option of having people served instead of a buffet style, not that that's bad, but it just wasn't what we wanted, but had a whole menu that was entirely vegetarian. I'm talking stuffed portobello, mushrooms, stuffed peppers, lentils, scalloped potatoes, quinoa pilaf, I don't know how to say that word, bread pudding, and a whole lot of other tasty mains and sides. Pilaf. Oh, pilaf. Okay, you fancy Greeks and your fancy pilaf words. I am not vegetarian. I do eat fish on occasion, but my fiancé is completely vegetarian. We also have several people coming to our wedding from different cultural backgrounds, including my fiancé's Jewish father, our Jewish roommate, and Muslim friend of ours, all of whom have never eaten pork. We also have gluten-sensitive friends. And most of all, I don't want my fiancé of all people to have to question the food she is eating on her wedding day, when that's a problem she struggles with almost every time we go out to eat with friends and family, or go to family functions at other people's homes. She usually ends up eating chips and guac, or just sides of potatoes. She can't even eat the tortillas my family makes traditionally because it contains lard, and that's just how Weller made them, they say. I had been keeping my mum included in the wedding planning for our wedding, so today I decided to show her the catering company that we had been thinking of. The first thing she asked was, what about the people who aren't veggie? And in response I said, people can't eat veggie for one meal? And she just got quiet. I again tried to hype up the menu, stating, doesn't the menu look good though? And mentioned everything stated above. And she, again, was silent for a good 10 seconds and said that one of the sides just looked good and moved on. Sometimes it's hard for me to read my mum's emotions, since she's not very confrontational and her mind wanders quite a bit. Her words, not mine. So I wasn't sure if I pissed her off or not. There hasn't necessarily been any drama surrounding this, but there is already existing drama considering this is a wedding with 2 brides, and I'm afraid of this decision creating more drama for us to have to deal with. I thought I was being inclusive to everybody by not serving meat at my wedding, but now I'm second-guessing myself. Anybody, any friend I try to talk to is going to say what I want to hear, so I'm asking Reddit instead. Even better if you eat meat and find yourself in this situation, would I be the asshole? In the comments, Daughter of Fishes says, not the asshole. It's your wedding. I'm a huge meat eater, but I swear that some people act like they're going to die if they eat one meal without meat. 100% this. I'm a hardcore carnivore who loves nothing more than an extremely rare steak. But you know what I also love? Quinoa pilaf. Good vegetarian food. A meal doesn't need meat in it to be good. Not the asshole. No one has to eat meat at every meal. Also, your family is assholes for not making any effort to accommodate your fiancé at any family dinner. They are very judgmental about vegetarians. My husband is a vegetarian, and whenever we go to my parents and there is meat, my mum also makes a few Impossible burgers or something for him, in addition to multiple vegetarian sides. OP responds, I should clarify, they do try, occasionally. My mum makes most meals for our family gatherings. Usually she will at least try to make a cheese broccoli casserole, or eloti, or a pasta salad. But sometimes she forgets. Often we bring our own food, sometimes we forget. Her family is the same way, but that doesn't change the fact that we often feel limited. Sometimes we get the occasional, how can you not eat meat comments? But it's generally harmless. It has just become a worse habit as of late because I started eating fish again, which people think extends to my fiancé. Bureaucratic Drift says, no assholes here. Let the guests know in advance so that no one can complain they weren't warned and you'll be fine. Just don't be surprised if someone has a burger in the parking lot or a bit of jerky when no one else is looking. OP responds, right, we did plan on including the menu as well, as mentioned that it would be vegetarian on the website we're building. We also don't have an issue with them bringing their own food, honestly, though they might offend the catering company. That's great! Just remember to list all common allergens that might be in the food so people can let you know if it's an issue. Unfortunately, a lot of vegetarian staples are common allergens. Back up to the post, we have some edits. I am truly not trying to claim my mother is the asshole, nor did she say anything necessarily bad, she just asked a question. I merely was second-guessing my decision because she said something. I was worried it would become a bigger issue. Edit 2, there is a section on our website that provides people with the option of listing allergies that they have so that we can plan accordingly. Also, we plan to have the full menu listed on our website, which will also state that it is fully vegetarian. Look, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I kind of forgot how this story was going, because after that goddamn word, quinoa pilaf, I have spent a good half hour of this recording session just absolutely laughing my brains out. But from what I can gather here, I don't think that OP is the asshole for this one. I think that is such a confusing interaction with her and her mother. It is truly not a blessing to have someone that is so non-confrontational in your life, but also seemingly passive-aggressively confrontational every time there is a dinner that is planned. That sounds like a living nightmare to me. I know I myself am very much non-confrontational, so I can only imagine how that affects other people. But yeah, I can find nothing to pin down on you, OP, that would make you an asshole here. I feel like you're trying to be as accommodating to everyone as possible. I don't think you're an asshole. I can kind of pin your mum as a little bit of an asshole for her passive aggression, though. And now, onto the update. First off, thank you everyone for your responses. It's not as popular as some of the other threads on this subreddit, but I sure wasn't expecting so many people to respond to my post, or even see it. This is kind of an update, kind of not. I mostly wanted to make this post to clarify some things from my previous post, as well as go over certain decisions I've talked over with my fiancé since posting. Most commenters in the original post seem to think that I'm accusing my mum of being the asshole in this situation. From my unedited original post, I can kind of understand why, but it was genuinely not my intention. I am not angry at my mum. I didn't even think our interaction was bad. Neither does my fiancé. I just stated my interaction with her because she was the first of what I thought would be many similar interactions of people asking why I don't want meat served at my wedding. I saw some comments saying my family was inconsiderate to my fiancé, and I'd like to clarify. My mum largely cooks the meals for my family's get-togethers, so when they are veggie-looking meals that have ingredients such as lard or gelatin, it isn't because she's trying to be inconsiderate or a dick. When I mentioned her being forgetful, I genuinely meant it. She has a medical condition, I won't say what, that she has been recently getting regular treatments for. There is no cure for it, and over the past few years, it has caused a lot of confusion for her. She used to not be this forgetful, and would regularly try to make us veggie dishes when she knew that we were visiting, but because I now eat fish, she sometimes either thinks that this extends to my fiancé, or she forgets that certain ingredients are technically meat products. She tries to make Weller's tortillas with Crisco instead of lard when she remembers, but she usually unfortunately doesn't. I thought stating our genders at the beginning would be enough indication, but if it wasn't clear, we are both women. Yes, my mum loves her and is accepting. Anyone in my family that didn't approve of this was not invited. Since making this, we agreed that we should also have a heads up listed on our RSVPs when we send them out instead of just the website. We don't want to assume that all of our guests will be tech-savvy enough to find the menu on the website, much less scan the barcode to get to it. We will have a section listed for when they RSVP, asking what everyone's food allergies are, if any, and 100% intend to modify the menu as needed. We've not booked this catering yet, and they are pretty accommodating to switching up the menu if necessary. I will try to clear up more in the comments if I can. Thanks everyone for reading. In the comments, Hybrid Octopus says, "Not the asshole. It's your wedding, serve what you want. I'm an avid meat eater, and I could go one meal without it, no big deal. I might mention in the invites that the menu will be vegan, just so folks know, which it sounds like you will. Also, if you can have a protein-rich option, like tofu, that is appreciated. OP responds, it will not be vegan, just vegetarian. If I, a non-vegetarian, turned up to a wedding and all they served was vegetarian food, I'd show my displeasure by eating it all and thanking the happy couple for a wonderful night. Right? I love meat, but every once in a while when there's a vegetarian menu option that clearly has some thought put into it, I'll order it. When it's not an afterthought, vegetarian food can be tasty AF. Just reading OP's list of food options had me salivating. I think some people that are not vegetarian tend to get up in arms when something is pointed out to be just vegetarian or vegan. They don't think about it until it's directly pointed out as a potential conflict. Like spaghetti and marinara sauce is technically a vegetarian meal. But if you told someone that it was vegetarian, they'd freak out and say, well, I needed meatballs or meat sauce for the protein. People are adults and can figure out their own comfort level with food. If you need meat, which, come on, then grab a burger before or bring jerky. If you want to go to a wedding and get a free meal, then just eat what the couple has chosen. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, but stick around if you want some of the bloopers that I cut out of this episode. Something took over me because quinoa pilaf became the word of the day for me. I was infected with that thing. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and roll bloopers. We also have several people coming to our wedding from different I can't. Quinoa pilaf. Why is that so funny? We also have several people coming to our wedding from different cultural backgrounds, including my fiance's Jewish father. I can't say it, dude. I can't get over quinoa pilaf. It's too funny. Elote. I eat the elote.